Hi everyone, this is Dr. Avani Ratan, your faculty at Conceptual Psychology, and very briefly today we will be talking about IHBAS M.Phil Entrance Examination 2025. So the paper comprised of 100 questions, out of which 19 were in the abnormal psychology unit, where questions on schizophrenia, mood disorders, personality disorders, eating disorders, neurodevelopmental disorders, dementia, psychotic disorders, somatoform disorders, and various other clinical conditions were asked. The second unit was of psychological testing, which comprised of 7 questions, where the focus was on MMPI, MMSE, Wechsler's Adult Intelligence Scale, Thematic Perception Test, Y-Box, and L-Data in Personality Assessment were asked. Statistics and research methodology, it comprised of around 11 questions, where topics such as ANOVA, chi-square, t-test, regression, interval scales, multicollinearity, Cronbach's alpha, signal detection theory, and research design were asked. The next was general psychology, which comprised of total 26 questions, where the focus was on perception, learning, memory, cognition, development, consisting of Piaget and Erikson, emotion, personality theories, motivation, and other basic psychological concepts were asked. Following with physiological and neuropsychology, where 15 questions were asked on brain anatomy, nervous system, endocrine system, genetic syndromes, and neurological conditions. So, social psychology consisted of 7 questions, where they asked about social prejudice, social identity theory, social facilitation, thin slicing, social loafing, and even group dynamics. Following with developmental psychology, where about 9 questions were asked regarding attachment theory, developmental stages, temperament, identity development, and maturation. Remaining were clinical psychology and psychotherapy units, which comprised around 6 questions. The focus area here were various therapy approaches such as CBT, REBT, Gestalt, many therapy techniques, and intervention strategies. So, basis on the analysis, the exam appears to emphasize more on general psychology and abnormal psychology most heavily, which aligns with the clinical psychology focus of the M.Phil program. The strengths of the exam is that it has an appropriate breadth. The exam covers the fundamental areas which are expected at this level, from basic psychological concepts to specialized clinical knowledge. The exam distributed reasonably. So from the basic fundamental areas which are expected at this level, from the psychological concepts to specialized clinical knowledge, the distribution reasonably reflects the syllabus priorities. It was a good mix of the difficulty level. The basic recall questions were somewhere about 30 to 35%, where direct factual questions like Erikson's first psychosocial stage or which lobe is responsible for vision, these were asked. Secondly, application-based questions comprised around 40 to 45% of the examination pattern, where questions regarding the requirement was about understanding the concepts of statistical test selection or diagnostic differentiation were asked. And finally, there were the higher order questions, which comprised about 20 to 25% of the exam, where questions about the theoretical distinctions and the clinical implications were also asked. The area of concern over here is some surface level assessment questions were asked. Many questions, they tested the rote memorization rather than the deep understanding. For example, matching theorists to concepts or recalling age ranges. That doesn't really assess clinical reasonings, which are useful skills for M.Phil students. Then there was limited clinical application. So for a clinical psychology program, there is insufficient emphasis on case-based reasoning or practical application scenarios. Most clinical questions are straightforward, definitional ones. So there were also outdated references which were used. Some questions they referred to the older conceptualization, for example, the double bind theory for schizophrenia, that has limited contemporary use. Now, how does this analysis relate to the Conceptual Psych app? After carefully reviewing the 3 mock tests with respect to the M.Phil Clinical Psychology Entrance Exam 2025, we found that there was a direct overlap of 32 questions, so which is a great boost to your performance. Similarly, the team at Conceptual Psychology had also prepared 3 mock tests for RML, and after the careful analysis post the M.Phil entrance examination for 2025, it was found that there were around 5 nearly identical questions asked in the exam. 7 of the questions were highly similar, and there were 50 plus questions which had similar topics, probably with different wording. So some of the important concepts which were highly overlapping between the mock tests and the exam were the projection defense mechanism, formal operational stage, longitudinal design, James-Lange theory, and two-factor theory. The highly similar questions were about repression, informed consent, p-value, classical conditioning, amygdala, schizophrenia treatment, and the independent t-test concept. The other 50 plus topics which were similar but were worded differently included the Big Five, the ego reality principle, reliability, construct validity, Maslow's hierarchy, operant conditioning, drive theory, self-efficacy, the motivation theories, memory systems, projective tests, Rorschach, measurement scales, neuropsychological concepts, the Stroop effect and Piaget's stages, Vygotsky, the correlational research, Broca area, and many more. So if I summarize the 3 mock tests against the M.Phil Clinical Psychology RML entrance exam, 60 to 65 questions, they show the same level of similarity. 5 were completely identical, 7 were highly similar with minor wording differences, and 50 plus they covered the same topics framed differently. So out of the 100 questions, this was the data that we could gather. So all you have to do is download the Conceptual Psych app, follow the instructions on your screen, and log into the Conceptual Psychology domain, where you will find these mock tests for free. I wish you all the best. Thank you.